Hi, this is Wayne Brown, New Life Architect. Welcome back to the final video in the series of the 5 steps to finding your soulmate. And today's step is about design. This is designing your relationship and your toolbox so that it becomes what I call an almost effortless relationship. Now, the design portion is something that I have collated from reading hundreds of books, listening to thousands of hours of audio recordings and webinars and DVDs and going to courses and learning all these different communication skills and styles and things that I've picked up and practiced and experimented with and worked out what works, what doesn't, what might be good for someone else, and kept that as well. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today, is the toolbox that we would create for you to have the best relationship possible. So one of the first things I'm going to do is talk about effective communication. Now, there's a style that people talk in, and I'll be very general here, but I can go very specific, but it takes time. But I'm going to be very general. There's 3 ways that people generally communicate. There are people that are visual, there are people that are auditory, and there are people that are kinesthetic. Now, the difference is, a visual person will generally talk about visual-based things, like, can you see what I'm talking about? Is that clear to you? Has that cleared the path? Can you now see where we're heading? They use a very visual-based language pattern. Auditory people use auditory-based things. Does that ring a bell? Does that sound clear? Is that striking a note with you? Kinesthetic people are about feelings. So kinesthetic people say things like, oh, it doesn't feel right. You know, it's not solid for me. So they say that sort of thing. The other thing as well is the speed at which they talk. Now, a visual person will talk generally very fast. So if I was a visual person, I'll be talking at a speed like this, where I'll be explaining something. You may have trouble comprehending what I'm talking about because I'm talking so fast, and I may go into details that you may not be able to catch because I'm going so fast. So that's a visual person. Now, I'm naturally a visual person, but I've actually now slowed it down to auditory. That way, people on both sides of me can understand me. So the visual people have to slow down a little, and kinesthetic people who talk quite slow can still understand me because I haven't gone too fast for them. So if you understand how people talk, you can then talk to them in the language that they understand. So if you've got someone who's visual and you're kinesthetic, they're going to get very frustrated because you're talking too slow. So you'll be going, well, what I think is, and they'll be like, come on, just have an opinion, just say what it is you feel. And it's just crazy. So once you understand that, you can then talk to them in their language. So that's a very basic explanation of effective communication. There's a lot of other things involved as well, but that's just the basics. One of the other things I want to talk about is dealing with conflict without the conflict. So earlier I talked about in one of the other videos about the emotion scale. So you may remember there was fear here and there was love there. So conflict comes from not understanding this portion of it, and also not being able to effectively explain what it is you're feeling. So once you start to become more aware of your emotions, it's easy to explain exactly how you're feeling and then communicate that to the person so they hear you. Now, the worst thing is when you're explaining something to someone, it's in a language that they don't understand. So when they hear it through their filters, their beliefs, their experiences, and they don't hear it right, and they're reacting to that. So once you learn how to communicate all of these things effectively, conflict becomes very minimal. So instead of things dragging on for days, and I know in my second marriage, we would wake up at 6 in the morning, the fights would start, and they would finish at maybe 3 o'clock the next morning. So we would have a full-on day screaming, so my throat sounding as it is now would sound a lot worse, and my tension levels would be through the roof as well. But that was because there was no effective communication. Neither of us could say exactly how we were feeling or hear the other person. So for me, I know that's one thing that now, dealing with conflict, when it comes up, if it comes up, takes all of about 3 minutes. And it's like, okay, bang, this is where the problem was, sorted, done, let's move on. So it allows a lot more time for fun. And the other thing as well is there's a thing called your love recipe. Now, your love recipe can be literally a book that you have written, or things that you're just aware of so you can explain and communicate effectively to your partner the way you want to be loved. Now, I don't know if anyone watching this has read the 5 Love Languages. It's a great little book by a chap by the name of Chapman. Only problem I have with it is it doesn't go deep enough. So what I've done is I've gone deeper into how we like to be loved. And this could come down to something as simple as a touch. And you may need to feel that once a day. And as long as you get that touch on a shoulder from a partner, you feel loved. And that's what this love recipe is. He talks about, for example, one of the things is acts of service. Well, you can sit there and do things for your partner, but they may not be the acts of service that they want. Or you may need acts of service, but if they're not aware of what exact acts of service they need, you need, they're not going to be able to deliver that, and therefore there's going to be frustration within the relationship. So it's finding out about your love recipe. And the final thing is integrating. Because there are belief systems that will try and force us to go back to the way we were. So integrating is about taking all of these things that we've developed and putting them inside you. So you can choose to act different on the outside, but you haven't changed on the inside. You're still all of these wonderful things that we found out about you. You're all of these things that make you amazing. All of this awareness that you have about how you need to be loved. That will make all of your relationships a lot easier. Now, I'm hoping all of this has answered a number of questions you may have had, given you some clarity about the journey, the things that are involved, the things that you can expect to get. If you would like to find out more and whether or not you'd actually be able to use this system, because unfortunately not everyone's ready for it, not everyone's a match, so we do need to find out if you're a match. We can then do a strategy session where we work out your journey. And yes, so if you're a match and we've done your strategy session, then we can find out how to take you from where you are now, picking partners that are the same person over and over again, having those same challenges, those same patterns of behaviour, and moving you into something that is awesome. If I looked at myself 5 years ago, I couldn't have imagined having what I have now. The connection I have with my lady, the communication skills, all of this, and there is very little of the anger, very little conflict. In fact, I don't think we've even raised our voices at all. So if anything, I'm the only one that gets close to raising a voice because I've got a fairly big voice anyway. So that's the journey. I hope it's helped. I hope it's answered some questions. If not, send me an email. Go to the website, waynebrown.com.au. Send me an email. Download some of the free stuff I've got there. And I shall speak to you shortly. And we'll get you on your journey to finding your soulmate as well. Thank you very much.